I'm going to talk to you about something very exciting today. You probably guessed already. It's music. Music is the incredible capacity of our brain to think in sounds. It is also one of our most sincere ways of expressing emotion. Think about it. We have music for just about any type of emotion. We have joyful music, we have sad music, we have music which we like to listen to when we want to feel energized, motivated, or inspired. And we also have music for moments when we want to relax, slow down, or just entertain ourselves. But music also teaches us about ourselves and others, helps us explore this inner emotional being, and helps us understand, get to know how other people feel and think. This aspect of music being an incredibly strong way of showing us and learning, helping us learn about ourselves and other people, for me, is the most important thing about music. You can listen to the Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, for example, and enjoy its incredible beauty. But it's a completely different experience to sit in front of the piano and being able to play it yourself. To look through the composer's eyes, to see how he takes a simple melody and transforms it into a powerful statement, to feel each arpeggio or chord progression with your whole body. This is the ultimate way of getting inside the brain of a genius. And we don't necessarily have to be virtuoso performers to do this. The intellect of a genius is felt even in the simplest works. You've probably noticed that music is just about everywhere around us. It's in the stores, in the cars, on the TV and radio, in movies, sports games, every occasion, it's everywhere. One would probably wonder where all this music came from. Well, the reason for this is because so many people before us composed music. And with the time, the tradition expanded, and now we have all this music available. But there is one more thing. People used technology to record music. Not in the sense of technology we use nowadays for sound recording. No, something simpler, but even more powerful. It's the notation, the tool which allowed us to write music on a sheet of paper and remember it. Or give it to someone else so the other person is able to read it and perform it using the meaning we assign to all the notes. Imagine, before the notation, people knew how to write down the spoken language and to communicate meaning by different combinations of letters and words. But sound, music, they believed was impossible to write down. The sound vanished the moment our ear stopped hearing it. The discovery of notation changed all that. It took over 1,000 years. And now we are able to record music. Very, very imprecisely at the beginning, but better and better with the time. Think about it. If we didn't have notation, all the music by Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Tchaikovsky, all the great composers would have been lost. They wouldn't be able to write it down, and we would have never had a chance to hear it. Other uses of technology, the invention of the printing press, and the use for mass producing sheet music, the invention and the engineering of different instruments. Very, very simple at the beginning, primitive at the beginning, shockingly complicated nowadays. What I'm trying to say with all that is that technology allowed us, humanity, to record our musical creativity, to inspire, to influence, to copy each other, and to create all this amazing music we have now available. As a violin teacher, however, I would like to ask, are we using the full potential of the technology available to us nowadays to teach that amazing music? Or we just repeat whatever our teachers taught us back in the day when we were students and this technology was not available? There is an unofficial statistics showing that more than 50% of all the students who start learning a classical musical instrument quit in a year or two. And no wonder, I would say. Most of the music schools and conservatories use the methods teachers used 100 years ago. Students are asked to play tons of boring exercises and scales, just like this one. I'm here to tell you that there is a more interesting way of playing scales, and I'll be happy to demonstrate it to you in a moment. And also the repertoire. The repertoire is strictly classical, meaning most of the time the students don't understand the music and cannot relate to it. And especially at the beginning, it's very important that we offer them variety of approaches, variety of exercises, games, genres, even popular music. We tend to forget that what we now call classical music was the popular music, the pop music of the 16th, 17th, 18th century. Popular music nowadays uses melodies and patterns which are very repetitive. You've probably noticed this. And are very convenient, can be used very wisely as exercises and to teach and explain technique. In my experience as a violin teacher, I've experimented several times with assigning to my students songs performed by Lindsey Stirling, for example. And I'm happy to share with you my observations. First, I would never forget their surprise. And the moment later, the joy in their eyes that they're going to play a song which they like and a song which they know very well. And then the motivation with which they practiced in order to learn something which was not easy, but they felt a very, very strong desire to learn. And then the diligence with which they followed all my notes and remarks. And lastly, but most importantly, the confidence they gained after they were able to perform the song, the piece, at the level of their favorite performer. All that proved to me my strong belief, even at that point, that classical repertoire and popular music can be studied side by side. In short, we need to explore developing systems, educational systems, which incorporate contemporary music. But let's say for kids, teenagers, but not just sheet music or audio tracks or videos on how to play a particular song. That kind of material exists everywhere. but instead very well organized systems which incorporate contemporary music with gradual difficulty progression, teaching listening skills, teaching music notation reading skills, basics of anatomy for the body movement for the particular instrument, basics of musical analysis, history, theory. This will only help students get familiar with the instrument much quicker and will prepare them to approach classical repertoire with much better understanding of the nature of music and better confidence. The other aspect which can be helped so much by technology, students are usually very limited in their time spent with the teacher. Our usual lesson duration is between 45 and 60 minutes, once or twice a week. For that time, the teacher has to explain, has to listen first to everything assigned for this week, then to introduce and explain the new material, give suggestions for all the challenges the student is facing this particular week. And the limited time makes the teacher, forces him or her to introduce a lot of material in very, very limited of time. But even after a very successful, very productive lesson, the students are left on their own to practice what was introduced during the lesson. Usually that's the most challenging time for the student because, as we all know, patience is not big part of the student's psychology. So they have to practice in a slower tempo, be very disciplined, and focus on correct repetitions. Almost never happens. So my solution for this are video practice sessions recorded by the teacher or other pedagogues who help the students practice at home. So at the beginning, first the student is presented with the main points of the practice session, then starting at a slow tempo, gradually getting faster, constantly reminded of the most essential elements of the technique they are working on. I'm sure other teachers will come up with different ideas, but we have to open our minds and start looking in this direction. The third very important aspect, musical education is still very expensive. And for that reason, there is a large number of people who cannot afford it. Moreover, urban areas, big cities with large conservatories or music schools are saturated with music instructors, whereas other areas, finding a music teacher is next to impossible. Good educational systems based on video lecture, for example, would help introducing this incredible thing to more people and will allow people with less income or living in less populated areas to get to know this incredible treasure we have. Moreover, this kind of systems would not make any difference in race, gender, age, talent, and they will be much less expensive than the conventional music education. Finally, I would like to play for you the same scale I played before, but in a way I think will be much more appealing to the student and will make them spend more time with the instrument and advance much quicker. I still wonder, why do we make our students play all that boring exercises when we have so much amazing music available? Special thanks to composer George Strezov for supporting me in this adventure. Thank you for your attention.